Well, after all of our rampant speculation about how Disney would eventually bring Wolverine into the MCU and whether or not Taron Egerton would be playing him, Ryan Reynolds dropped a video on his personal Twitter revealing that Hugh Jackman will once again be playing Logan in Deadpool 3. And that's great for a lot of reasons, but for one in particular, it's one more chance to make Wolverine actually dress like Wolverine. Disney, Marvel, I think we are long overdue for some yellow spandex.
Do we really have to wear these?
As none of us mutated to endure extreme G-force or being riddled by bullets, I suggest we suit up.
Fox's take on the X-Men did a lot of stuff right, but it's also a product of its time, and at the time, making a movie based on a Marvel comic was an extremely risky endeavor. The success of Blade paved the way for X-Men to hit the big screen, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the wardrobe of Bryan Singer's movie Mutants might have been attempting to ride the leather coattails of the Daywalker himself. Then again, in the late 90s and early 2000s, tight black, usually leather outfits were all the rage in action movies. The Matrix, Mission Impossible 2, Charlie's Angels, Entrapment, Tomorrow Never Dies, The Avengers, the Uma Thurman one, not the Marvel one, they all had a pretty similar fashion sense. And of course, the original X-Men even has that joke about yellow spandex.
You actually go outside in these things?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Well, yeah, kind of. That's sort of the point of this video. X-Men's producer Ralph Winter has said in interviews since then that the intent of that line was a wink and a nod to fans of the comic rather than to poke fun at the source material. Winter admitted certain concessions had to be made in order to make X-Men appeal to a wider audience, like, you know, Wolverine not having the stature of Joe Pesci and the body hair of Robin Williams. But he also pointed out that the leather outfits were chosen out of convenience since they meant that the stars would spend less time in wardrobe. Okay, that may have been less of a hassle than the rubbery superhero costumes in stuff like Spawn or Batman Robin, but the color of an outfit has no bearing whatsoever on how easy it is to put on or take off, and ultimately, the leather suits they put them in were so tight at first that the actors had trouble hopping over a 3-foot wall.
I can hop over like this, but I can't promise you I'll land every time.
Oh my god, whoa!
After the movie's success, the comics actually followed suit in multiple timelines at once. Ultimate X-Men gave the old Knucklehead a makeover that inverted his classic color scheme to be mostly black with a few yellow stripes, and then Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's new X-Men gave the whole team an overhaul that was more evocative of sexy firemen than conventional superheroes. A few years after X-Men's big screen debut, its box office success was blown out of the water by Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which featured an impressively faithful interpretation of the Wallcrawler's very colorful suit. It would have been nice if subsequent X-Men movies had followed this example, but presumably Fox didn't want to screw with what had already worked for them once. X2, X-Men United, and X-Men The Last Stand gave Wolverine's suit some festive yellow piping, but that was as close as Fox got to putting him in anything close to his classic comic looks. Well, at least until the infamous deleted scene from The Wolverine, where Logan gets his iconic brown costume from the 1980s and then proceeds to never actually wear it. What the fuck? Also, a brief aside, the Wolverine introduced Yukio, who was inexplicably styled to look like some kind of Harajuku spin on Pippi Longstocking by way of Where's Waldo's Girlfriend, despite the fact that in the comics, she actually wears a black leather jumpsuit. Why? X-Men Days of Future Past did give Wolverine a new costume, but rather than doing something with the comic-accurate one that had been put together for the Wolverine, they replaced his black motorcycle leather with a tactical carbon fiber scuba suit that bafflingly featured blue and orange accents, and really, why even bother? Blue and orange says Crash Bandicoot as much as it says Wolverine. Despite the hit-or-miss nature of Fox's X-Men movies, Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine is a consistent high point. It's just a pity that in his 9-movie, 17-year tenure as Weapon X, he never completely looked the part, but now there's hope.
And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
Since he first played Deadpool back in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is possibly the most egregious reimagining of a Marvel character to date, Ryan Reynolds has made good with the fans twice over. Despite Deadpool constantly skewering, sometimes literally, Fox's other X properties, the Deadpool movies, specifically the second one, have been two of the most faithful adaptations of the mutant-centric corner of the Marvel Universe. I mean, look at that Colossus and Juggernaut fight. Sure, Juggernaut could use a little more red and Colossus could use a little more yellow, but you know what? I'll take it. Over in the MCU, the costumes have been pretty consistently in line with their comic book counterparts since day one. Not like they really need an excuse to redesign characters, but the current disarray of the multiverse is allowing for quite a few makeovers. Loki and WandaVision gave us some classic outfits in the form of Halloween costumes and an alternate timeline variant. Spider-Man No Way Home made good on some of Sony's more questionable wardrobe choices for past villains, redesigning the Green Goblin and Electro in ways that pulled a lot more from the comics. We almost got to see the Lizard in his lab coat and little purple pants. Wouldn't that have been fun? But seriously, he looks too much like the Hulk. Meanwhile, Multiverse of Madness showed us the most comic-accurate versions of Black Bolt and Professor X to date, as well as Reed Richards, though in Fox's defense, the matching jumpsuits were one of the few things the Fantastic Four movies did right.
I thought we agreed that was bad!
Obviously, those characters all got killed off, but hey, they looked pretty good before that. How Wolverine makes his way into Deadpool 3 and the MCU as a whole isn't something I'm too worried about. If there's one thing that can handwave far-fetched plot points even more shamelessly than the idea of a multiverse, it's Wade Wilson's ability to break the fourth wall and crack some jokes to the audience.
You're so dark!
Do you say you're not from the DC universe?
This movie will almost definitely be a ton of fun, and I'm just ridiculously excited to see two of these fan-favorite characters interacting on the big screen, in an R-rated movie no less. But if this is actually Hugh Jackman's final victory lap outing as Wolverine, I think Marvel Studios owes it to us to put him in yellow and blue. Or maybe brown and orange.
This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
So with Wolverine confirmed, what else do you hope to see in Deadpool 3, wardrobe related or otherwise? The return of Cable? A fastball special? Maybe a do-over for Taskmaster? How about T-Ray? What's T-Ray doing these days? Sound off in the comments below, and for everything Marvel, keep it right here on IGN. Enough said.
One day your old pal Wade's gonna ask you to get back in the saddle again. And when he does, say yes.
Oh, right.